friends, and welcome to Costuming in Color, a YouTube show dedicated to showcasing amazing costumers of color and those that support them.
I'm Gigi, a cultural history buff, dabbleist, and historical costumer.
I'm Noelle, a costumer who likes to play both sides of the historical and cosplay world.
And today we are interviewing Denise. Welcome to the show, Denise.
Hi, I'm so glad I'm here.
We're glad to have you. But first, some house rules. The first rule of Costuming in Color is that you don't talk about costuming in color.
Nope. The first rule is that you do talk about it. Tell everyone. Also, let us know who you'd like to see interviewed.
There's a link down below for that. The second rule is that kindness matters. Aside from that, there are no rules.
So let's get into it.
So Denise, where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Irving, Texas.
Excellent. Where's Irving? Texas.
Irving, Irving is about, oh gosh, I don't know my directions. Irving is about 20 minutes from Dallas.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And where do you live now?
Right now, I live in Irving, Texas. So I was born in Dallas and have lived in Irving all my life, and went to college, came back, here again. Can't leave. I'm stuck.
Do you do cosplay, historical, or both?
Historical, but I would love to do a little cosplay also.
I think you'd kill it at cosplay.
What is the costuming scene like where you live?
So where I live, there's opportunity for both cosplay and historical costuming. It just kind of depends on the scene, the people you hang out with, because I know a lot of like Buffalo Soldiers. There's tons of historic sites all around Texas, especially down in Austin. Somebody asked me to do an impression of the Yellow Rose of Texas. So there's plenty of opportunity for both cosplay and historical costuming. Just you have to pick your poison,
What is your internet handle and why did you choose it?
So my internet handle is Time Travel Is Possible. And I chose that because I used to work on a historic site that was a farmhouse that was built around 1869. And it was pretty much out in the middle of nowhere. It was close to a town, but they originally had more than 55 acres of land. They had sheep, they had goats, they grew cotton, all that. They probably had enslaved workers. They don't necessarily mention that to the public. But anyway, so when I worked there, it was like an immersive experience. And I just felt, I was wearing a corset, I was wearing layers in the heat and the cold. And I was working in this house, and the house was original. The floors are original. There's like a stove from 1880s that was restored. We tried very hard to just be historically accurate as possible. And I just felt like I could be back in time a lot of the times because I was working like 14-hour days. And I just kind of said, time travel could be possible. And if it's not, the closest way we can get to it is being on a historic site and wearing clothes from that time period.
For historical costuming, what time period and place is your favorite?
So I haven't really experienced historical costuming anywhere other than Texas thus far. I would like to visit a couple other historic sites. There's one in Missouri, but the time that I kind of focus on is 1860s to 1880s. And that would be kind of like out in the country, away from the city, not necessarily city living, but country living here in Texas.
How did you get your start in costuming?
So I didn't even know, I honestly really had no idea there was this costuming world. Like I did not even know people did this until I started working at that historic site, and I started seeing they were all dressed really well. They were really focused on, they're what you call thread counters. They're really focused on historical accuracy. And we had some type of living history convention, and all of these people showed up wearing these historical clothes. And I was like, this is a thing. Like, this is a thing. And people are into this. And this is crazy. And so that's when I started posting pictures when nobody was around, and I'd have on my historical clothes. I'd post pictures on Instagram and all of that. And stuff just kind of took off. But I had no idea until I started working at that site that this was even something that anybody else cared about but me.
That's pretty typical. What are your favorite parts of costumes or clothing to make?
So the only thing that I have made is undergarments, and I really enjoyed hand sewing because it's just kind of peaceful and methodical, and you can just kind of veg out and just repeat and relax. One of the most favorite things I've made is this chemise that I've made, and it's not that good, but I made it on my own with just a little bit of help. So I like it. And it's terrible. So I added lace on it. So, but I think when I wear it, it looks really pretty.
It does look really pretty. And also that's totally historically accurate to slap some lace on it in order to make it
Cover up the mess ups.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Like if you get extant garments and look at them, they 100% did that. They were like, we'll just put some trim on that. It'll be fine.
Covered up. I mean, it looked really good when I covered it up. I was like, ooh, lace. And somebody gave me that lace for free. So I really felt good about it.
Yeah.
So what aspects of costuming drew you to costuming? Why do you continue to costume?
You know what? I kind of think that costuming, honestly, I don't know if this is good or bad, or if other people do this, it's a little escape from reality. Because I've been through a rough couple of years, and it was just really nice to just put on historical clothes and go out to a site, go volunteer somewhere, and just disconnect from all the chaos of my life. So that just the ability to disconnect and just kind of like live in your own space for just a little bit of time really, really kind of got me going, kept me going. And of course, just pretending that I was one of the little women. I was that Black sister they didn't talk about.
What is your favorite or most epic project completed?
I think the very first time that I went out to Pioneer Farms in Austin, Texas, I had a really good friend. She just said, "You want to take pictures? Me and my husband do this on the side for fun." And she took epic pictures, and I'll probably give you guys those. There's one where I'm coming out of a root cellar, and the cellar, it's like they really use that root cellar to store food.
Yeah.
And it's the root cellar smelled like sausage. It smelled so good. And so when I was coming out of that root cellar, it was so hot that day. It was just blazing hot. We started early in the morning, but it just felt authentic and real. And so I did a lot of those pictures with my friend Alan Mack, who started out as my mentor, but he's just really a good friend now. And yeah, those pictures look real. And the dress that I wore was made by Maggie May. And she does stuff for Disney and stuff. She's just so awesome seamstress. And the fabric on the dress was a reproduction from an extant fabric. The dress was a reproduction from an extant dress. So that was probably my top number one so far thing that I've done. That very first photo shoot. I did another photo shoot there too, where I have like red threaded corset on. But that first one was just magical because she offered it to me for free, and I probably would have paid several $100s for those pictures, but she didn't charge me. She's just a good person. So
it's funny that you bring that seller picture up because I reposted that a couple of times onto my stories, and every time I post someone else's pictures, people react to me about it, and I get every reaction from, "Oh my God, she's so beautiful," to, "Wow, that seller looks creepy."
It wasn't okay. The Pioneer Farms is creepy, but the seller wasn't creepy, at least not in the daytime. It was really cool, but it was really dark in there. I mean, if I got locked in there, I'd probably freak out.
Yeah.
Most people, their reaction is, "Oh my God, that looks so real." Like it looks like
it felt real.
Yeah.
And it was so hot. I think it was so realistic because I was sweating so bad.
You were tired in that picture too. You're like, ugh.
Yes. And then there's the other one where I'm like cleaning, the one where I'm like cleaning on the porch, and he kept asking me, "Are you okay?" Because I think he thought I was gonna pass out because I was that hot. And I heard him asking me several times throughout the day, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" But I totally just ignored him when he said it because I was like, "I'm not okay. I'm so hot, I'm about to pass out." And I think he knew it. So I just never would respond. He was like, "You're okay, right?" I'm like, "I'm about to die." But yeah, there's another picture. So where I'm on the porch and I'm washing, or I'm pretending to wash. I was like blanking out. That I had this look on my face, and I'm just like, because I was that hot, I was just about to pass out.
Makes it authentic. You feel
Very.
like you're in the past because you can't just press a button and adjust your the climate that's around you, right?
Yes, yes.
Wouldn't that be awesome though if we could like climate control outside?
Oh,
Whoa, that'd be so great. Yes, especially in Texas.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in California and I still want that. Like when it's 115 degrees outside, I'm like, we'll just take this down a couple notches.
Exactly. Just bring down to like 95.
Yeah, 95 is great.
so what is the silliest thing that's ever happened to you at an event?
Well, I thought about that, and I don't necessarily know there was a silliest thing, but one of the most memorable things that happened to me was when we used to have kids come to the site that I worked, and they would tour the house, and we would make butter, and we would let them taste the butter on crackers, and that'd be like the most amazing thing for them, because I mean, who really knows, what kid knows how to make butter, you know? So there was one day, there was this huge group of kids in the house, and we were in the kitchen, and I guess I was showing them to make butter and how to grind coffee from a coffee grinder and coffee beans and all that. And this little girl comes up to me and she says, "Are you a princess?" And that I will always cherish that moment, because I was like, girl, I wish I was, but you know, but just that, like that wonder and that feeling of awe and that you know, that admiration for someone. And I wasn't even dressed like a princess. I had on like enslaved worker clothes, you know.
You have big princess eyes.
I know, they're so big.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of like, it was really honoring for some little girl to look at you and think, even in clothes that didn't match, because the clothes I had on were like mismatchy, and you know, they were a little older, and yeah, that was just a good moment.
So if you were to do cosplay, I know you don't do it now, but if you were to do it, what like kind of characters do you think you would gravitate towards?
I would totally gravitate towards Disney princesses. So when I was a little girl, I know you love Disney. When I was a little girl, as far as I can remember, Pocahontas was like the only brown skinned princess, pretty much, you know?
Jasmine?
Oh, Jasmine. That's right, Jasmine. But for some reason, I really identified with Pocahontas. Like, I really did. I had Pocahontas curtains. And my dad always used to call me Pocahontas, and he still does. He just calls me that. So I really want to do a Pocahontas themed photo shoot, like in the woods somewhere with shoes off and, you know, long hair. And I think that'd be so amazing. And then also Tiana, because I just got my master's last December, and I used to play that song Almost There all the time, because I don't know if that's what it's called, but you guys know what I mean. That almost.
Yeah.
I used to play that song because it was just so difficult. I was going through a lot in my personal life, and the schoolwork was so hard, and I was homeschooling my boys. So it was just like climbing a mountain, but I was like, I'm almost there. I'm almost there. I just have to encourage myself. I'm almost there. So I love to like go to New Orleans and go to Cafe Du Monde and take a picture in her yellow waitress dress with a tray and just be like, I'm almost there. I'll actually try to get someone to make me one of those dresses, but it didn't work out. But I think that'd be a really fun photo shoot in New Orleans.
It would be.
Yeah.
And now you know someone who lives in New Orleans.
Yeah, Gigi.
So what groups or organizations are you in?
So I am a part of the Texas Living History Foundation. That is a nonprofit organization that focuses on educating children. And the founder, he is African American, which is my friend Alan Mack. But it's not all about just focusing on the aspects of African American history, but that is part of what he does. So I'm a part of his organization. And then I'm also a part of the Texas Living History Association, And those were the big group of people that came out to the historic site that I worked at when we had a conference. It had like a big conference. And I've never met a group of more genuine human beings. Just people who are just, they love, you know, wearing those clothes, telling the stories of their ancestors. And they're not all African American people, just a mix of just really genuine people who love the aspects of doing things how they were done back in the 1800s. So yeah.
What is your theme song for sewing or crafting? Like, what's on your playlist for
so I don't know why I never heard of this guy before, but I kind of like old school music. I like all kinds of music, but I like old school music. And that song by Leon Bridges, Brown Skin Girl, have y'all heard it? Brown Skin Girl on the other side of the room. I love that song so much. I just play it over and over and over.
Tell us who inspires you.
So Steen inspires me because she's like so smart. I'm like, wow, I just don't think I'm that smart. I mean, I'm smart, but like she's like another level, you know. And Rachel Maskey, I love her. She's so creative, and she's so skinny, and she can just put on all kinds of little cute stuff, and yeah.
She's
really
an amazingly sweet person also. Like,
she
I know
sings
her. She's very nice.
genuine, like a genuine person, you know.
Yeah.
I love people that are real. Like, just be real. I'm real. I'm not gonna hide anything. I'm not fake. Who I am is who I am, you know. And I like people who are just be yourself, you know.
Yeah. How can we be better mentors for our community with an aim to retain and recruit?
Coming from the living history perspective, there's a lot of what we call thread counters. And that's a whole conversation that I have with Alan Mack a whole lot, which when I say thread counters, I mean like these people are the ones who want you to wear historical underwear. They want you to, I mean, for a woman, wearing historical underwear is part of it. But like for a man, he could probably get away with wearing regular underwear and just wear the clothes, you know.
We haven't really done that much for men.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah. I mean, so what I mean is there's some people for living history that get really uptight about perfection and, oh, you're like, somebody told me I couldn't do Pocahontas because that was the wrong type of Native American for Black people. Like, I'm like, okay, you know, number one, the Pocahontas impression is based on Disney stuff. You know, so basically what I'm trying to get at is if you're getting into living history, you don't have to be perfect. Like, start where you can start. If that's going to the thrift store and finding something that looks pretty historical, if that's buying some of the cheaper end clothes and then working your way up to making them, then so be it. But there are certain people that will kind of like eat you alive because you don't have everything perfect, because you're wearing something that is, you're doing an 1890s impression and you're wearing an 1880s corset. Like, okay, whatever, dude. You know, nobody's going to know but you. You know, that kind of stuff. So we don't have to be that uptight about stuff. Just, especially for new people, just let them start where they can start and work their way up to that. And then, of course, just being inclusive. Like, things are changing in the costuming community, and hopefully they're changing in the living history community. But it's probably harder on that side. Just saying like, okay, you're African American or you're another race, but you can still do this kind of impression, and not just putting somebody in a box, not just saying you're doing an 1860s impression and you have to be an enslaved person. Like, that is so not true. There's so many people from the 1800s that were rich African American people who own land, who even own slaves, who lawyers, doctors. Like, there's other aspects of history. Just because they don't know it doesn't mean there's not. So just being inclusive and being open to new things.
Yes.
Thank you for saying that. That needed to be said. I appreciate your take on living history, because as a living historian, I do appreciate trying to be or attempting historical plausibility. That's important to me, but we cannot be historically perfect. It's
Right.
impossible. And so,
unless they're all sitting by candlelight using like cloth that their family members weaved for them, they're not historically accurate either. There is literally no such thing as historical accuracy.
You're right. You are so right.
We don't even have the cloth that they had anymore. Like, our cloth is made differently. So, and our thread is made differently. Everything that we have is not made the way it was then. There is no historical accuracy.
Yeah. So the whole obsession of being like perfect, I mean, just people just, they get in their minds and, you know, they create issues because they have this thing in their brain, you know?
It's gatekeeping.
So what is your favorite inspirational quote and who's it by?
Okay, I have two here. So this is totally not historical costuming based, but I had a guy who taught me a whole lot when I was a little younger. He has passed away. He was a pastor, and his name was John Paul Jackson. And one of these quotes is, "God never shuts a door that you would have been successful at." So I kind of think back when, you know, there's been heartbreaking times where things have not worked out for me the way I wanted them to. But I literally have that quote posted on my wall, and I walk past it every day and I'm like, that door was closed and that wasn't for me, you know? And then I have another quote, "Be where your feet are." I don't know who said this quote, but I have that on my wall too, because it's so easy for us to not be present with technology, with our cell phones, with YouTube, with TV and all of that. And I just try to focus my brain and say, I'm here with my boys. Let me be where my feet are. Let me not be thinking about work or all the stresses and dramas, but this is the time of day, you know, like during dinner. We put on some nice music and we just eat together and just enjoy each other, because I need to be where my feet are and be present in the moment. That's very important.
I've never heard that quote before, but I really like it.
Yes.
I really like it too. It reminds me though of REM's Stand. Stand in the place where you live. Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The whole time you were talking, I was like listening to it and listening to you, and I'm like, oh, these jive. Okay, great. If you could give new customers one piece of advice, what would it be?
If I could give a new, more than costumer, a living history person advice, I would just say, don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone, and don't be afraid of like negativity. Because when I started doing this, I had, even a few weeks ago, a friend of mine told me that another friend from high school would see all of my living history stuff I posted, and she just made a lot of derogatory comments because she thought I was being a slave and why would I do that and blah, blah, blah. You know, some people just don't understand it. So you just have to know they're not going to understand it, but have your purpose and go forward with your purpose of why you're doing what you're doing. And don't worry about those people who make fun of you, who don't understand your creativity, and who don't understand what you're doing. Because there's going to be those people. Just ignore them and do what you love. Like if it makes your heart happy and it makes your soul sing, like do it, you know?
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today, Denise. It was lovely to get to know you a little bit better.
Yay, I'm so glad we got to talk.
Me
and it's
too.
been a long time coming.
Yeah. For people who don't know, on my channel, I actually had, I met Denise slightly before COVID last year, and I had Denise on my channel, and she did a very successful video during COVID, which I hosted, and then I shunted people over to her channel, and then she put the video up on her channel. So we'll link to that video down below for you. It's a get ready with me sort of situation in 1860s. It's a cute video. I liked it a lot. Thank you also to our viewers for joining us today. We will leave a list of Denise's information down below for you to go along and follow her on all of her platforms.
Please also give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't, and if you know a costumer of color that you think we should interview, use the form that we insert in the description box below and tell us about them. Make sure to leave a little love for Denise in the comments below. Stay safe out there and be kind to each other.
Thank you, Denise. Bye, guys.
I love y'all. Bye.
Bye.